We're working to connect a region of over 600 mil bridges between our lands.
Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines, Zaldi and Unsay Ampatuan, several others convicted over 2009 Maguindanao massacre. 5 accused drug smugglers from Hong Kong, Chile, Switzerland, and Thailand who were caught in Bali could face the firing squad if convicted, police on the Indonesian holiday island said on Wednesday. The Indonesian martial art of Pencak Silat has been added to UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. Guilty. This was the verdict handed down by Quezon City Regional Trial Court Branch 221 Judge Jocelyn Solis Reyes to several of the 101 accused in the Maguindanao massacre in 2009. Solis Reyes sentenced Zaldi Ampatuan, former Datu Unsay Mayor Andal Ampatuan Jr. and 25 others to suffer the penalty of imprisonment of reclusion perpetua without parole after finding them guilty of 57 murder counts as principals. Several others were sentenced to imprisonment as accessories. Some of the convicts were ordered to pay damages to the heirs of the victims. Others, including Sahid Islam Ampatuan, Datu Ahmad Tato Ampatuan, Jimmy Ampatuan, and some police officers were acquitted. The promulgation of the case came more than 10 years since the crime, dubbed as the worst poll-related violence in the country, took place. Solis Reyes was supposed to hand down her landmark verdict ahead of the Maguindanao Massacre 10th anniversary on November 23, but she asked the Supreme Court for an extension, citing the voluminous records of the case. 58 people, including 32 media workers, were killed in the incident. 5 accused drug smugglers from Hong Kong, Chile, Switzerland, and Thailand who were caught in Bali could face the firing squad if convicted, police on the Indonesian holiday island said Wednesday. The group arrested in separate incidents this month and in November were paraded in shackles and orange jumpsuits at Bali's airport customs office, escorted by machine gun-toting police, a common practice in Indonesia. 2 of the 5 are men from Hong Kong who were caught with 3.2 kilograms and 4.0 kilograms of methamphetamine, respectively, police said. The Chilean was allegedly carrying 77 grams of meth, while a Swiss citizen was arrested with 30 grams of marijuana in his possession. The Thai man had nearly 18 grams of marijuana. Muslim-majority Indonesia has some of the world's toughest drug laws, including the death penalty for traffickers. While death sentences are often reduced to long jail terms, Indonesia has executed 4 nationals in the past, including 2 Australians masterminds of the Bali 9 heroin gang who were shot in 2015. The Thai army has expressed regret after troops shot dead 3 Muslim men foraging in the jungle this week and promised a probe, a rare admission of wrongdoing by the military in Thailand's insurgency-scarred south. On Monday, security forces killed 3 men aged 24 to 27 in a jungle in Narathiwat province, believing them to be Muslim militants. The commander of the Southern Army region, which oversees the 3 southernmost provinces, apologized for the mistaken identity made by the officers. Lieutenant General Pornsak Pulswawat admitted in a statement obtained Wednesday all 3 people shot dead were villagers and not militants. The military has been locked in simmering conflict with Malay Muslim militants in Thailand's south for 15 years as the rebels agitate for more autonomy. More than 7,000 lives have been claimed in clashes, the majority civilians, both Buddhist and Muslim. The 3 men killed Monday had been foraging in the jungle, Pornsak said, vowing an investigation into whether perpetrators had intentionally killed the men, which could result in prosecution. Critics say impunity reigns in the south, with no military personnel ever having been successfully prosecuted for alleged abuses. A heavy military presence blankets the region under martial law as soldiers attempt to contain an insurgency masterminded by shadowy rebel groups who accuse the Thai state of heavy-handed tactics. Today's discussion didn't bring any results, says top Rohingya leader Syed Ullah following repatriation talks with Myanmar officials in Kutupalong, Bangladesh. Bangladesh is home to nearly 1 million Rohingya Muslims, including 740,000 who fled a military crackdown in Rakhine State in August 2017 that the UN has called ethnic cleansing. Rohingya leaders have refused to return without guaranteed security and citizenship, which they are currently denied in Myanmar, and previous attempts to repatriate the Muslim minority fell flat when no one turned up. More news when ASEAN in Focus returns.
Net 25 shows live and on demand anytime, anywhere, on any mobile device on ASEAN Play.
With gorgeous white sandy beaches that stay cool to touch even on the hottest summer days, blue-green ocean waves, and the warm ocean breeze, there's no wonder why Dr. Beach has named Siesta Key, Florida, the #1 beach in the United States. Don't forget to watch episodes of Digital Next every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I'm Melissa Protest, coming to you from Siesta Key, Florida, and I am one with 25.
Welcome back. Almost 200 Rohingya Muslims sailed more than 1,500 kilometers to escape Bangladesh refugee camps, only to be arrested by Myanmar's Navy, the country's military said Tuesday.
Decision you make with the wisdom and vision
The boat
of
seizure
justice
came just
will
days
help
after
us to
Myanmar's
create
leader and Nobel
unity
Peace
out of
laureate Aung
diversity.
San Suu Kyi addressed the UN's top court to deny allegations of a genocidal campaign against the ethnic minority. With the monsoon over and seas relatively calm, increasing numbers of Rohingya Muslims are once again risking their lives attempting to reach Malaysia or Indonesia. Bangladeshi authorities say they are stopping 1 or 2 boats a week leaving the country's shores, and many more are thought to evade patrols. Few make it as far as south as Khao Thaung, Myanmar's southernmost tip, where on Sunday the country's Navy picked up the 173-strong Rohingya group, including 69 women and 22 children. Military spokesman Zhao Min-tun said, quote, "We will hand them over to immigration authorities and police to take action," adding they had come from camps in Bangladesh and were heading to Malaysia. He said 7 boatmen were also arrested in the vessel's seizure some 135 miles off Myanmar's coast. Life is becoming increasingly difficult in the sprawling camps that are home to nearly 1 million Rohingya, around 750,000 of whom fled a crackdown by Myanmar's military in 2017. Officially, they are forbidden to leave the settlements, but the camp's vast size means they are difficult to police. Muslim-majority Indonesia will deploy nearly 200,000 security personnel nationwide ahead of the holidays to guard against potential terror attacks, police said Tuesday. The Southeast Asian archipelago of 260 million has significant numbers of non-Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists who have been targeted by radical Islamist groups. On Tuesday, authorities said some 192,000 police and military personnel would be deployed to secure December 25 and New Year's Eve celebrations across the country, including in easternmost Papua, a predominantly non-Muslim region. The deployment, which comes after a recent spate of attacks, is more than the 167,000 personnel deployed last year. National Police spokesman Argo Yuwono said as many as 10,000 personnel will be deployed in Jakarta alone. Many past attacks in Indonesia, which has dozens of groups loyal to Islamic State's violent ideology, have been against police and other state symbols. Authorities routinely arrest suspected ISIS-linked militants ahead of alleged planned attacks. Asian markets declined on Thursday after the United States House of Representatives voted in favor of impeaching President Donald Trump for allegedly obstructing Congress and abusing power. Investors are also awaiting the latest interest rate decision from the Bank of Japan.
On this vote, the yeas are 229, the nays are 198, present is 1. Article 2 is adopted.
I'm about to say something my Democratic colleagues hate to hear. Donald J. Trump is President of the United States. He is President today, he'll be President tomorrow, and he will be President when this impeachment is over.
The President of the United States has been impeached for now only the third time in history. The President of the United States should be tried. And the question is now whether Senator McConnell will allow a fair trial in the Senate.
He also said, somewhat presciently, when we're dancing with the angels, the question will be, what did you do to make sure we kept our democracy intact? We did all we could, Elijah. We passed the 2 articles of impeachment. The president is impeached.
Following a listless day on Wall Street, investors looked ahead to other interest rate decisions by central banks in Indonesia, Taiwan, and Sweden. Benchmarks in Shanghai, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Seoul, and Southeast Asia retreated. The dollar was flat against the yen, increasing 0.02% at 3:39 a.m. CET to 109.5820. The House vote sends Trump's case to the Senate for trial. Republicans who control that House say they plan to acquit him. President Trump is accused of abusing his office by pressing the government of Ukraine to investigate a potential political rival ahead of next year's presidential election. He also is accused of obstructing efforts by Congress to investigate those allegations. Broaden opportunities for people and ensure more inclusive growth across the Asia-Pacific, urged the 2020 chair of APEC senior officials, host of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation in 2020. At Langkawi site of the APEC informal senior officials meeting, senior officials deliberated the forum's policy agenda for the incoming year, marked by strategies that emphasize inclusion as much as growth. Hairil Yari Yaakob, chair of APEC senior officials in 2020, said APEC 2020 will focus on redefining the role of trade and investment from one that is solely for wealth creation to one that is also available to deliver social and economic inclusivity. The policy agenda unveiled at the APEC informal senior officials meeting are addressed through a trio of innovative approaches. The first priority is to restore public confidence in multilateralism, investment, and trade, which has driven the region's growth for 3 decades, however perceived as accelerating inequality. As part of its efforts to turn around public sentiment, APEC is exploring methods of gauge well-being other than through GDP and increasing stakeholder participation in policy discussions. The second priority aims to foster more innovations that promote sustainability, from renewable energy to waste management and recycling strategies defined now as the circular economy. The third priority of APEC 2020 is more inclusive economic participation through the digital economy. APEC faces a shortage of digitally skilled workers, which can impact productivity growth and lead to job losses. To reduce vulnerability, APEC can support more inclusive policy framework, skills training, and constant learning, and foster engagement between entrepreneurs and investors. The U.S. Justice Department charged an Indonesian Tuesday with violating sanctions on Iran in supplying millions of dollars worth of new and refurbished aircraft parts to Iran's blacklisted Mahan Air. Sunakro Kuntoro, the president director of PTMS Aero Support, exported U.S.-made aircraft parts to Mahan Air in violation of sanctions between 2011 and 2018, according to an indictment filed in federal court in Washington. Kuntoro also shipped aircraft parts to the United States for repair and then reshipped them to Iran. The indictment charged 8 counts of sanctions breaking, money laundering, and false statements against Kuntoro, PTMS Aero Support, and 2 other related Indonesian companies for violating U.S. export laws. Kuntoro billed Mahan millions of dollars for getting the parts refurbished in the United States and hid Iran's involvement by shipping the parts through Singapore, Hong Kong, and Thailand. U.S. sanctions and a trade embargo ban the supply of U.S. products to Iran without specific permission from the U.S. Treasury, which administers sanctions. The body folding sharp elbow techniques of Thai massage were added Thursday to UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. From upscale Bangkok spas and Phuket beach fronts to modest street-side shophouses, Nuad Thai or Thai massage is ubiquitous across the kingdom, where an hour of the back-straightening discipline can cost as little as $5.
The lifestyle and culture of Thai is massage is very important thing, because since I'm a baby, I have to give massage for my grandmom or so and so. Yeah, since I have no nothing, but I try to touch, and maybe we slowly learn step by step.
The Indonesian martial art of Pencak Silat has been added to UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage.
Orang berantem.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Monica Velasco and I am 1 with 25.